Hey guys, Peter Harper, Managing Director and Head of Advisory at the Senior Family Office. This is the next instalment of the Family Office series, and today we're going to be talking about family office real estate. But a bit of background on us, for those of you not familiar with the business, the Senior Family Office is a dual SEC and ASIC licensed multi-family office that specialises in advising Australian and Asian-based families on US direct investments and mergers and acquisitions. So, before we kick into the concept of family office real estate, it's probably good for us to recap on what a family office is, right? Sort of family office 101. So a family office is the largely regarded as a legal structure that a family of significance, right, whether that's a family that has inherited a substantial fortune, or a first-generation founder who has built and sold a business that had a substantial liquidity and now has, more than 50 million liquid to invest in the market, that they would establish to manage all complex components of their life, right? From the financial side, so effectively the investment, whether it's private and public markets, so portfolio construction, private and public markets, sort of asset allocation of family capital, and what we consider the complex admin or the back office, right? So anything associated with understanding outflows, so complexity around multiple non-income producing assets, so houses, cars, boats, planes, etc. And then any of the infrastructure or the people they need to run all of that, right? So for any family that has managed to leverage or take significant risk and hit a material exit event, it's probable that for most of those, as they then look to de-risk the leverage that they may have had in their with respect to their capital pre-liquidity, is to look at real estate as an investment asset class, right? There's a whole bunch of different reasons as to why that would make sense, right? Particularly in the United States. A lot of that can do with the sort of the fact that real estate over time, being asset backed, can provide a lot of financial security for a family. You also get the benefit of income, rent, cash flows that throw off the real estate. But you also have a tax code that is heavily leveraged around the shielding of free cash flow and the long-term production of large-scale investment portfolios that can benefit family offices, right? So the first thing for most families is they're when they think about real estate as an asset class, there's a bunch of different asset classes that exist within in the real estate sector. Whether it's multifamily, commercial, standard residential. There's a lot of different choices for those families. And so we're often asked the question as to, okay, well, what is the scale that a family office would need to be before they would look at real estate as an asset class, and what sort of size should they look to leverage into a long-term sustainable real estate portfolio, right? And that really depends on the size of the family's balance sheet and the sophistication of the team that they're employing. Now this dynamic has or certain asset classes have performed better than others, sort of pre and post COVID, right? And so for a lot of family offices that were very deep on commercial real estate prior to COVID, there's been a lot of capital that's been lost over time, but there are also bright sparks emerging in different sectors, right? So the market today is not the case that with a sort of high interest rate environment, that all real estate is doing poorly. It's really more it's more fragmented than that, and it really depends on the market, the geographic market within the country when family offices are making choices, right? But like anything, the reason that we exist is that ultimately it's difficult for families to kind of make that choice and pay for the infrastructure that they need to get a family office from day one. So, they look at whether they should be working with a multi-family office on a fractional basis, which is what this Family Office does. Right? Cheers, guys.